Unification between WBO Super Flyweight champion Kazuto Ioka and IBF Super Flyweight champion Jerwin Ancajas is a fight that's being dangled in front of us lower weight fans like a really big juicy carrot. Ancajas is probably going to be fighting, this is the plan I've read, fighting in the US in November. That means a unification against Ioka couldn't happen until earliest spring next year. But if they have looked, that is Team Ancajas, which I'm sure they did, checked out Ioka's last fight, very tough decision win against Francisco Rodriguez Jr., I am sure they are going to be a bit happier than usual to want to make this unification. Ioka did not look great in that fight. The guy who just seemed to be dripping with pound-for-pound talent against Tanaka, he looked very beatable against Rodriguez. Now, what happened there? I predicted looking much more on form with a bit of a devastating end. And we got a razor-thin decision. It was legitimate draw material. Ioka did not look devastating. He didn't look that physically strong. Often backed up and quite easy to hit with the straight right hand. Rodriguez really couldn't miss with that shot. And so Ioka did have very nice moments of boxing where the movement was on the point, where he just picked his punches really nice. He walked him onto the right uppercut. He landed his fantastic left hook, then rolled underneath, whatever the response was. There were those really polished sequences from him that earned him a spot, I believe, legitimately in the top 10 pound for pound. But then again, he would get backed up, and then he would get hit again and a little bit bullied. It was odd. He was looking brilliant, and then he was looking pretty average. And was this a case of, did we overrate his power a little bit? Was Tanaka just actually quite weak at 115 pounds? Or did we underestimate the drive and the overall abilities of Rodriguez? A guy who, of course, was abroad, travelled far away from home to really try and make it happen again at the very top level. It was probably a bit more of a reminder of the fact that Rodriguez isn't that bad. And his one stoppage loss is a bit of a mercy stoppage against Roman Gonzalez, where he was just finding it hard, I think, more to keep up with the pace than he was genuinely hurt. He's a tough guy. He showed again he's not just a brawler. He can box a bit. He can change his tactics. He has pretty good punch selection himself. And it seems all those things came together with perhaps a little bit of unnecessary inactivity from Ioka that it led to it all being a very tough fight. You can't make too many excuses for somebody, though. Again, I did think Ioka looked very good in there at times. He just seemed to not have that much physical strength and power from certainly what was the last demonstration of his abilities against Tanaka, when he ripped him apart. It's still a relatively new weight for him, even though he's a champion, 115 pounds. So, is he still trying to get used to it? Is he just finding out things that Roman Gonzalez found out, that sometimes when you don't have those physical advantages, things just start to get pretty tough, and you have to hustle more for the win. You don't just blow people away. You have to navigate those rocky roads that you didn't usually have to. It certainly hasn't dampened the prospect of a fight with Ancajas. It may have just made it even more interesting now. Ancajas is slightly younger. Even though he is a champion, he knows he hasn't had his real big fights yet. Ioka Ancajas in the Far East would do very nice business indeed. Real good fight. Ancajas is a quality operator as well. Kind of more basic. He doesn't have those real sweet moments that Ioka has, the way he just moves around the ring and picks his spots. But very good, very workmanlike. And again, if the physical strength and power of Ioka isn't that good at this weight, that's where someone like Ancajas could make him work and make life more difficult. Of course, Gonzalez and Estrada are off the table. They're having their brilliant trilogy fight, which I'm sure it will be, in October, so you can't fight any of those. Rungvisai is having to be on his own at the moment, unfortunately, and he's the oldest out of all of them, so it's a bit harsh on the tie. But Ioka and Ancajas would be great. I'm not sure who Ancajas is fighting next in November. I'm sure it'll be more of a stay busy. Ioka Ancajas probably got a bit more interesting there. But I don't think that performance from Ioka, even though it was very close, maybe you could have given it to Rodriguez, but I felt it was either a draw or you just gave it to Ioka. But either way, he didn't look devastating. It wasn't the guy we expected to see. I don't think that necessarily makes him like he's out of the top 10 pound for pound. It was simply a very tough day at the office, which I felt if you're going to give it to anyone, he just about deserved to nick it. But what did you make of the fight? Do you think he looked terrible? Do you think now at 32 he might even be slightly getting past it? Or like Roman Gonzalez, do you think this £150 just isn't ideal for him?